procrastinating their thesis right now. Are you doing it? Are you doing it? Theses. Rhymes with feces. Because it's shit. Sorry, I feel a little hyper today. I'm just going to talk to you as if you're my friend and I'm telling a friend. You know, someone's come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, here I'm so stressed. I don't know where to begin. What's going on? You know, all that. And then I'm like, okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you how to make it less painful. The thing about a thesis, right, first things first, is we overestimate what we need to do. We make this huge mountain in our head, but actually it's not that deep, okay? It's like 6 chapters, okay? Intro, materials and methods, number 2. 3 results chapters are all you need, okay? They're not gonna be huge. Don't think you need like a whole paper's worth of stuff in one chapter. You don't. 3 results chapters and discussion. My discussion was so short. It was like 6 pages long. My supervisor's discussion, he showed me his thesis from 1996 was 2 pages. What I do, I have my intro chapter. Mine was only like 20 pages. And then for my results chapters, I didn't write an intro. So this is like the first mistake people do. They think that you have to write a complete, separate, elaborate introduction to each of your results chapters. You don't. It's a results chapter. So what you do is you just you give a brief background of what you're doing, like maybe half a page to 1 page, 1.5 max, okay, sometimes. And what you're supposed to be doing in the intro of your results chapter is not rehashing and repeating stuff you wrote in your main intro chapter. You just give sort of an intro of this is what this chapter is about, this is what I found. That's it, really. Nothing too hectic. I didn't even put individual materials and methods in each results chapter because there's a separate materials and methods chapter for that. I've seen some people do this in their theses. Why do they make their life harder? I don't know. I'm lazy. I ain't got time for that, okay? Now the discussion bit, to make it easier, instead of having very long discussion chapter at the end, I actually put the discussion in the results chapters towards the end, okay? So this was like pretty detailed, but it makes more sense to have it there because you've just gone through the results and you want to know as an examiner, okay, what does this mean? And so I've put the discussion there because now if I have all 3 discussion bits for all my results chapters at the end in one big chapter, the professor is gonna have to flick back and forth between the results and the discussion, being like, okay, what is this linked to, that, and it'll be like a whole freaking confusion, okay, like this is the discussion to which chapter, which bit, which result, like it's gonna be a mess. So don't like throw up on your examiner with data and with results, and just don't vomit on them, okay? We like make their life easier as well. That's gonna make your viva easier. It's gonna make your life easier because it's always easier to write something that's easy to read than write something complicated. Keep it simple. KISS, kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay, now beginning. When do you begin? Start as early as possible. Like literally, if you're seeing this video, you should have already started. Okay? Now, not to scare you, but the thing is, some people say, okay, you know what, we'll have all our experiments, data, analyzed, everything till the very last minute, and then I'll spend 3 months writing up my thesis. But honestly, if I did that, I would freaking lose my mind, okay? Like, imagine writing for 3 months straight, doing nothing, talking to no one. That would be very difficult. And I've seen people do that. I know friends who buried themselves in their laptop for 3 months. I didn't know if they were alive or not. And then they came out with a thesis. But like, my mental health would have been screwed if I did that. So don't do that. Okay, so in terms of starting early, where do you start? So what I did was I wrote my introduction chapter way early, I would say. Okay, so this I'm talking about 2023. That's when I wrote my thesis. It was due in October, and I had written the intro chapter maybe like Feb, and just get stuff on paper, 20-30 pages. I just gave myself a thing of, it's just gonna be 20 pages minimum. And then when I did more results and added more stuff to the thesis, I then added a little bit more to the intro, and it became, I think, 25 or 30 pages at the end. But I know a friend who didn't start because she said that I can't know what's in the intro until I know what I'm putting in the results. But that's not true. That's not true. I discouraged her then as well. I said, no, intro is meant to be the general, the broad field, okay? Do your literature review, write the broad general topics. That's not going to change for your thesis. You don't have to wait till the end to do the intro. And so that's what I did first. It was easy. It was like an essay. Break it down maybe into like 3-4 essays, 2,500 words each. One figure is all I had in my intro. Honestly, it wasn't elaborate, but it had everything it needed. And that's what you need for a thesis, right? Just make sure it has everything, like the bare minimum: bones, structure, bit of flesh, and then that's it. It doesn't have to be the most beefy kind of thing. Just bare minimum is fine. I mean, life's too short to chase perfection. Come on. And I'm too lazy, and I have 2 brain cells by this point. Like, don't make it harder than it is. PhD is really hard, but I need water because I'm screaming so much. Other thing we fall prey to is we start planning, over planning. It's like, I need to know exactly what my thesis structure is going to be. I need to know what the order of the chapters are going to be. I need to know which results go in which results chapter, blah blah blah, and then I'll start. Don't let your smart little brain trick you into that, okay? You are never gonna know the structure of your thesis until you see it in front of you, written, and then you reorder. No matter how much you imagine and visualize this wonderful thesis and think about the perfect order, it's not gonna happen. Your supervisor is gonna make you change chapter numbers in the last day, okay? And you're gonna be traumatized trying to amend all the figures, but I'm gonna make another video because Word can do that automatically. So subscribe if you haven't already. So things are gonna keep changing, keep evolving, and therefore you can't just don't plan, just get to it. Just start writing. Just start writing, even if it's shit. That brings me to my next part, which is write without editing and without perfection. Just write, whatever. You can edit later. You just need words at this point. You just need something on the blank page to show you that you've got something, like something to hold on to, like a little bit of hope that you're not drowning and the thesis exists, So just write a little bit, okay? Okay. Tip for writing the results section is to just write your results as you get them. Now, if you are at the beginning of your DPhil or PhD, this is going to be really good advice because you can start implementing it from now. My supervisor used to make me write these like reports every month of what I've done, and it had the methodology, it had the little figure, it had a little bit of a discussion, and so for my thesis it was so then nice to be able to pull these results which are already written. And when something is fresh in your mind, it's just so much easier to write about it rather than looking at your results like 3 years later being like, what the flip did I do? I can't remember no shit, So yeah, it's gonna save you a whole lot of thinking and figuring out what you even did. Worst case scenario, if you do bioinformatics, you might even need to redo the results because you don't remember which script made this figure, what analysis made this figure, all of that. So just something like, it doesn't have to be scientific, it doesn't have to be very like well written, but it just needs to be on paper, like this is what I did, this is what this figure shows. Okay, my other tip is kind of like, make it fun, make it less painful, like listen to music, go to your favorite cafe, find a friend to write with you. This worked with me so well because me and my friend Muna, we were trying to submit at the same time. The fact that I had her with me, we would do these like late night sessions. I'd go to her department to write with her. Sometimes she would come to my department, we would write together. Sometimes we would go to each other's houses. Sometimes we were in our own house and we'd be connected online and be writing together. you know, we'd have like food parties and then write. You know, we would call these like study parties. So we'd be studying, but then we'd be partying and going crazy. And I have like the best memories from that time. And it's like, I'm so glad that that was my thesis writing journey, because I know for other people it's so miserable, it's so lonely, it's depressing. You're fighting your depression and you're trying to write. So you need to be in the best mental state possible, because that's when your brain's gonna think. That's when you're gonna find that, you know, energy to even write. Otherwise, if you're sad, if you're depressed, if you're not enjoying life during thesis writing, it's just gonna make it worse. So make it fun. That's my advice to you. If you don't have someone like who's writing with you, you know, maybe join like a writing group. Create your own writing group. Ask people in your department, guys, does anybody want to work together? Does anybody want to go to the library together? Do it, okay? Another thing about keeping it simple is just using simple software to create your figures, for example, your tables. You would be so surprised, like my tables were made in Word, my figures were made in PowerPoint. It makes good enough figures. Like, I didn't want to spend so much time learning like Adobe or like InDesign, Photoshop, blah 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 to make my figures. Just do it in PowerPoint. Like, you know, a good figure is something that has the data, that is interpretable, that has the correct statistical analysis, that has like correct p-values, it has the little asterisks, blah blah blah. It's simple to understand, it's not complicated. That's what, you know, just have that in your chapters. Like, no need to get all fancy schmancy, okay? I think that's it. I mean, what else would you guys want to know? Ooh, motivation. Okay, how do you motivate yourself? Basically, work in short bursts. That's what always works with me. So the Pomodoro technique saved my life. I do like 20-30 minutes of writing. You would be so surprised how much you can write in 30 minutes, you guys, honestly. And then I take a break, which can last from 5 minutes to 5 hours, you know. And then I come back, I do another 30 minutes of work. Also, calculate how many words you're gonna aim for. Like me, I was like, girl, I'm not aiming for any more than 30,000, I think. I was like, yeah, no way. Like, I saw theses that were like 60,000 and I was like, shit, no way, I'm not doing that. So just doing the bare minimum, and then you can divide that by the number of days, blah blah blah. And I remember we did a calculation for my friend, and I was like, you just have to write 500 words in a day, you know, and you'll be done in like 3 months. So 500 words per day is not that hard to write, you know. So you can actually motivate yourself to just do that bare minimum and get on with your lives, you know. So what I want you to do after this video is set a 30-minute timer and just start writing anything. You either start writing, I would say write your results, probably. That would be the easiest thing to start with. Maybe your experiments for this week, what were they? Just start writing for 30 minutes. That's all I want you to do. I don't want you to plan. I don't want you to think, where are these results gonna go? Which chapter does it belong to? What experiment? No, I want you to shut this video. Please, will you promise me? Just 30 minutes, okay? And just write. Just write. That's it. That is it, okay? Go write. And tell me how many words you wrote, okay? Come back to this video 30 minutes later. Tell me how many words you wrote, okay? Bye. Go.